Key Bible verse, Matthew 5:3 NIV. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Hey friend, let's sit down with a warm mug of tea and talk about something that might feel surprising. You are blessed, even in the middle of a crisis. When Jesus spoke these words in the Sermon on the Mount, he was addressing a crowd of ordinary people, farmers, fishermen, and families struggling under Roman rule. In their culture, being blessed was often tied to wealth, health, or status, much like today's world of social media perfection. But Jesus flipped that idea upside down, saying the poor in spirit, those who feel broken, empty, or spiritually bankrupt, are the ones who are truly blessed. I've had moments, especially during my battles with anxiety, where I felt like I had nothing left to give. Maybe you're there now, facing a crisis, a loss, a fear, or a season that feels too heavy. This verse is Jesus' promise that even in your lowest moments, you're not forgotten. You're blessed with God's presence and hope. Today, let's unpack how being poor in spirit can open the door to God's kingdom and fill your heart with hope, no matter what you're going through. Let's find the blessing in the brokenness together. Being poor in spirit sounds heavy, but it's really an invitation to be honest with God. It's that moment when you stop pretending everything's fine and admit, Lord, I'm struggling. For me, that looked like nights when anxiety kept me awake, and all I could do was pray, God, I need you. Jesus says this raw, vulnerable place is where blessing begins. Why? Because when you're empty, you make room for God to fill you with his hope. Think about a cracked clay pot. On its own, it seems useless, but when light shines through those cracks, it's beautiful. That's you in a crisis. Your struggles don't disqualify you from God's love. They're where his light shines brightest. In Jesus' time, the poor in spirit were often the outcasts, ignored by society. Yet he said the kingdom of heaven belongs to them. Friend, that means you're not just surviving your crisis. You're invited into God's eternal hope. How can you lean into this today? Try writing down one thing that's weighing you down and pray, God, I'm poor in spirit here. Fill me with your hope. His blessing is already waiting for you in that honest moment. Now, let's talk about this kingdom of heaven that Jesus promises. It's not just a far-off place. It's God's presence, peace, and power breaking into your life right now. When I was overwhelmed by anxiety, I thought being blessed meant feeling perfect or having all the answers. But Matthew 5:3 showed me something different. Blessing is knowing God is with you, even when life feels like it's falling apart. Picture a child holding their parent's hand during a storm. Scared, but safe because they're not alone. That's what God offers you in a crisis. The kingdom of heaven is his promise to walk with you, to give you strength when you're weak, and to plant hope when despair feels stronger. I remember a day when a friend's kind words reminded me I wasn't alone. Those moments are glimpses of God's kingdom breaking through. So where do you need his presence today? Maybe it's pausing to read a psalm like Psalm 23, or noticing a small gift, like a sunrise or a stranger's smile. Those are signs of God's blessing, whispering, I'm here. You're not defined by your crisis. You're blessed with a hope that nothing can take away. Here's where it gets powerful. Being poor in spirit doesn't just bless you. It connects you to others. Jesus' words were a call to community, to see the broken and hurting as part of God's family. When I started sharing my struggles with anxiety, I found others who felt the same. Suddenly, we were lifting each other up, praying together and finding hope. That's the kingdom of heaven in action. In a crisis, it's easy to feel isolated, like no one understands. But Jesus says you're not alone. You're part of something bigger. This is the climax of the verse. Realizing that your emptiness makes you open to God's love and to the love of others. Think about someone in your life who's struggling, maybe a friend who's quiet lately, or a family member facing their own crisis. A simple text, a prayer, or a listening ear can remind them they're blessed too. And when you share your own story, even the messy parts, you shine God's light for someone else. Try this. Reach out to one person this week and say, I'm praying for you. That small act builds the kingdom and reminds you both that hope is stronger than any crisis. So, friend, as we finish our tea, let's hold on to this truth. You are blessed, not because life is perfect, but because God sees you in your crisis and calls you his own. Matthew 5:3 is your reminder that being poor in spirit isn't the end, it's the beginning of hope. Your struggles are real, but so is God's promise of the kingdom of heaven. This week, I challenge you to pause each day and pray, God, show me your blessing in this moment. Write down one way you see his hope. Maybe a kind word, a moment of peace, or a step forward in your crisis, and share that hope with someone else, even in a small way. You're not alone. You're part of a community learning to find blessing in brokenness. Let's keep encouraging each other, reflecting God's love in a world that needs it. You are blessed, friend, with a hope that shines through every crack, today and always.